I'm Suzy Vadori, and I am a young adult fantasy author, and I am the author of the Fountain series, which has The Fountain, The Westwoods, and book 3 in the series is called Wall of Wishes, and it's coming out this fall of 2020. And I write about magic because fantasy books often have magic in them. And I get asked all the time about different systems of magic, and I can talk about magic all day long. So what we're going to talk about today is if you want to put magic in the story, in your story, how might you do that? And if you're already writing about magic in your stories, I hope that these tips will help you actually figure out where your magic in your books or your stories come from, and helps you think about what else you can put into your story. So the number one question that I get is, well, how does your magic feel so real? Or how come when I read Harry Potter, for example, it feels so real? And some of the things that authors and writers do is we make rules for our magic. Not all books have rules for the magic, but you could start out with a magic system that has some rules. And sometimes we have some mystery to it too. Usually magical books have mystery. And so we wait and we don't tell people about all the rules right up front, unless you're writing a gaming manual or something where that's really important. You kind of just dole it out a little bit at a time. You need to decide when you're writing a story how your magic is actually generated. And we're going to talk about some of the possibilities there. Who gets to use it in your story? Does absolutely everybody in your world get to use it, or only some people? And limits. We're going to talk about why limits are important. So here's some of the places you might want to think about where your magic could come from. Non-humans. What are non-humans? Non-humans are any type of magical creature. So you could have unicorns or monsters, higher beings or gods like in Percy Jackson, for example, or witches and wizards could bring the magic into your world. How about energy? There's different ways that energy can be a magic as well in your story. You could use life force. You could use emotions, like in Mary Poppins, when they go to the tea party and they have to laugh, and then all of a sudden they float all the way up to the ceiling. So their emotions actually make them fly. And when it's time to go home from the tea party, all they have to do is think about something really sad, and down they fall. And they use that type of emotional magic in Peter Pan as well. Think of a happy little thought, any happy little thought, and you can fly, right? You can fly, you can fly, you can fly. Nature, elemental magic is in lots of books. So you could use fire and wind, water and earth. What about consuming or touching a substance? This one's a lot of fun and something that people don't always think about as magic, but it kind of is. So like when you watch a superhero, do you guys remember Popeye? Does anybody know what he eats? That's right, he eats spinach. He eats spinach and he gets really strong, right? And that's a kind of magic. So it can be something simple. Spinach is something you might even have in your fridge today, whether or not you like it, right? But it can be something really easy like that. It doesn't have to be super complicated. How about Spider-Man? He got bit by a radioactive spider, right? So something biting you, or an animal transferring it to you. Or Superman, he gets his powers from the yellow sun. That's right. And there's something else in his world that you might have said where he gets his powers that actually limits his powers, and that's kryptonite. And so you guys, we're going to talk in a minute about limits and why they're important. And then there's these other kinds of magic too, which include time travel, shifting realms, shifting perspectives. So you can use one of these things to decide where your magic in your story comes from, or you can try to come up with something completely different. And I bet you'll come up with something really cool. But what about limits? Why are they important? Why can't your magic just do anything in the world in your story? Well, that would be really cool, but I'll tell you a quick story and maybe it will illustrate why. So if I'm Suzy Vadori and I come in here and I find out that every one of you guys watching this video is in mortal danger, but luckily I have magic and I can save every single one of you right now. Poof, and it's done. Is that a good story? Not really. why isn't it a good story? It's a very short story. So you want to follow the story mountain, right? You want to have some conflict and tension. You need to get up to your climax of your story. And you'll never get there if I solve it right at the beginning, because you give everybody lots of power. So let's try making some limits and see if it makes it any better. What if I come in, I'm Suzy Vadori, author, and I find out that absolutely everybody watching this video is in mortal danger right now. And I have the power to save one of you every hour for the rest of my life. Is that a better story? Well, probably depends how I write it, but it definitely could be, because it introduces lots of conflict. First of all, I have to find out who's watching the video, right? And then I have to find out or figure out, go through a character arc for myself to decide who I can save and who has to wait, right? So it creates, limits can create tension in your plot, and it can create lots of interest, and it can drive your story forward. So make sure that after you've picked where your magic comes from, that you introduce some limits. And sometimes the more limits there are, the more interesting your story can be, and the harder it is for your characters. So we want to make it hard for our characters so that their story is really fun and interesting to follow, right? So I hope that that has helped you guys think about your magic systems in a story that you're already writing, or maybe it's inspired you to write a new story about magic. But I'd love to hear from you either way and hear about what magic you're writing about. So happy writing, and I'll see you guys again soon.